Have you ever realized that there is an inner teacher within you? Call it whatever, the inner voice, flash of wisdom, guiding light, or simply intelligence. It is an intrinsic part of human consciousness. For convenience sake, let me call it here inner teacher. I want to go into the nature of it. Surely, you may have heard this inner voice rising within you, especially when you are at a crossroad in life, unable to make a decision. What has the inner teacher to do with us? His functions are to direct you in the right path of life, to motivate you to do good and lead a good life, to discriminate the false from truth, and to show the next path in your life. These functions are quite similar to that of a living teacher, aren't they? But the question here is whether you are making the best of your inner teacher. When you have a good teacher, you have to be a good student as well. Are you a good student of your inner teacher? Can you say you are a keen student, obedient student, honest, and one who pays enough attention? Or on the other way, a student who doesn't care to learn, hard to change, headstrong, inattentive, and so on. Such a self-evaluation will lead to self-understanding. The tragedy with some people is that they have no inner teacher. Either his voice is made silent or killed. It happens when neglecting to listen to or even going against it. Every time you choose evil, you weaken your inner voice. Unfortunately, some people have chosen the wrong teacher. There had been even so-called prophets in the past who had taken devil for God. This self-deception is common. Every evildoer thinks that he is true to his God. We have to consider here the opposing view. Is the inner teacher an imaginary voice? Or is it an outside voice or personality internalized? In fact, there are many voices in us, even contradictory ones. Just because you hear a voice inside, you can't take it to be the inner teacher's voice. Because our parents, teachers, elders, preachers leave their voices in us. So the question here is how to distinguish the true teacher. This demands your discrimination. One has to question whether it is the voice of society, of the preacher, of the tradition, or whether it is the voice of your own desire or of hatred, of jealousy, of lust, and so on. We have to assume here the true teacher's voice is unconditioned and uncontaminated by any external or internal force. Materialists who deny the existence of an inner teacher may question, can there be such a pure voice in us? If that's the case, then one has to deny all human wisdom as well as pure consciousness. Let me give you an example from the Buddha's life. After the enlightenment, he was considering whether to go out to the world and teach the path of liberation or not. Seeing the subtlety of his own teaching, his mind bent towards reluctance. He thought it would be a waste of energy. At this moment, it is said, the Brahma, the creator of the world, appeared in him and beseeched and invited to go forth and teach for the well-being of mankind. In fact, it is exactly the inner teacher's voice and not of any Brahma or God. There are such instances of inner guidance with every one of us. It arises in the middle of your daily activities, mostly in unexpected moments. It arises while you are half awake and half asleep, while you are in prayer or in meditation. It doesn't limit itself to a voice. It takes several forms, such as vision or insight. It can even speak to us through outsiders, through external voices. It also speaks through symbols and especially through books. I read somewhere a person telling his experience of getting the right message he needed through a book. Once he was at a crossroad in life due to a serious problem. With a confused mind, he went to a public park with his pet dog. While he was sitting on a branch, the dog roamed around and came back to his wonder with a book in his mouth and dropped it right in front of him. He picked up the book and started reading. To his amazement, he found the right guidance to his problem, and the book even went further to change his whole life with a new vision. Surely, the cosmic intelligence can come to you through a book. It is beyond our comprehension how the cosmic intelligence speaks to us. Another example told by a friend of mine. His wife developed a rare ailment which physicians were not sure of. One evening he was coming along the road to his house. He saw a pedestrian walking on the same direction, and suddenly something inside told him to talk to him and inquire about a physician for his wife. He asked the fellow pedestrian, and he replied, "Yes, I know an Ayurvedic physician who treats such kind of diseases," and gave the information about a physician living far away. My friend ultimately found the right physician who completely cured her. If you have really discovered your inner teacher, then you can have dialogue with him. Get counseling and inspirations just as a living teacher. He reveals the secret knowledge of the mystical side of life. After all, a teacher is one that awakens your higher intelligence. He shows the right path in life. Nature sends right teacher to us at various stages of life. They come, teach and go. A true teacher is one who helps us to discover our own inner teacher. In fact, a good teacher represents the inner teacher. One is a good teacher to the degree he or she helps us to discover our own inner teacher. Now, what if you ignore the inner teacher? We see quite a lot of such people around us. Obviously, the consequence is facing the natural outcome. Take, for instance, a case of excessive smoking. At the beginning, a warning from inside says, "Quit the habit." If the smoker doesn't care it, he begins to see subtle harmful effects arising in him. He also develops a guilty feeling. Then the warning comes from outsiders. He is made to witness persons adversely affected by smoking. Nature is trying to tell you something. Suppose the smoker continues the habit. Then comes the final blow. You know all that. Lastly, how to communicate with the inner teacher. For it, the mind must be in a state of calm. You reach such a calm in mind mostly after meditation. Listen deeply to the silence within and without. At a certain point, you feel in touch with the Absolute. Then ask the question you have in mind and wait patiently, open-minded. The answer may come in a flash of insight. The ability to connect with self at a deeper level is essential to live the right life. Deeper you go into the self, the clearer you become. The surface mind is full of garbage. It is like the surface layer of water in a river full of dirt. The superficial mind is made of thoughts, images, ideas, wants, and memories. They are the sediments. Passing that layer, you come to the emotional realm of desires, fears, attachment, sorrows, and so on. Going beyond all such layers of mind, finally you come to the pure layer of water flowing at the bottom, which is the pure consciousness. It is the dimension of wisdom, clarity, and peace. The inner teacher arises from pure consciousness. When you put a question to it, the answer comes as a flash of insight.